Welcome back. Today we're diving into the thrilling world of the animal kingdom, 2024. A gripping story about a mysterious virus that turns humans into animal-like creatures. What happens when humanity faces this unprecedented transformation? Join me as we explore the intense journey of Emil, François, and their fight for survival in a world gone wild. Make sure you watch till the end to catch every twist and turn. The story begins with François, a man who is on his way to the hospital with his son Emil and their dog Albert to visit his wife. On the way, traffic comes to a standstill, leading to an argument between François and Emil. The argument escalates, and Emil steps out of the car, noticing an ambulance nearby from which strange sounds are emanating. François soon joins him, and the two hide close by. Suddenly, a creature with eagle-like wings emerges from the ambulance and attacks the staff before fleeing the scene. Soon after, François and Emil arrive at the hospital, where they see a small child whose mouth is eerily covered with tentacle-like growths. It turns out that the virus has spread worldwide, turning infected humans into these creatures. François' wife is also a victim of this virus. Though she had been at home until recently, she has now been transferred to the hospital because the government is conducting research on these creatures in hopes of reversing the infection. François and Emil meet with the doctor, who informs them that Lana's condition has slightly improved and she is being transferred to another hospital within the city. Later, François and Emil visit Lana, where they notice hair growing on her face, making her resemble an animal. Some time passes, and François buys a house in another city, close to Lana's new hospital. François starts working while Emil enrolls in school. On his very first day, Emil encounters a girl named Nina, who bombards him with questions, asking where he lives, his name, and about a mark on his face. The other students laugh at Nina's silly questions, but she explains that she has ADH, which makes it difficult for her to distinguish between right and wrong. Emil smiles quietly, finding something endearing about Nina's awkwardness. After school, Emil heads to a restaurant where his father works. As night falls, a violent storm ravages the city, and the next morning we see the trees and plants all around damaged and uprooted. Outside their new home, Emil and François were tidying up scattered belongings when François received an urgent call. He immediately rushed with Emil to a location where an emergency had occurred. Earlier, Lana was being transferred along with other patients, but due to the storm, the ambulance met with an accident and plunged into a pond. Upon arrival, Officer Julia informed François that Lana and 40 other patients had escaped from the hospital the previous night, taking advantage of the chaos caused by the storm. The police were currently searching for them. Troubled by the news of Lana's disappearance, François hung some clothes outside their home at night, hoping that Lana might recognize the scent and find her way back to her family. While Emil was helping his father, he suddenly spotted a strange creature. Frightened, Emil froze, but the creature soon vanished. The next day at school, Emil learned that the recent storm had been declared a disaster. Taking advantage of the situation, some animal-human hybrids, referred to as animal humans, had escaped. Hearing this term caused Emil to drop his box in shock. Nina noticed and asked if he was all right, but Emil remained silent. Soon after, a tug-of-war game started in class, and Emil displayed impressive strength by eliminating the entire opposing team. This showed that his powers had significantly increased, though this realization deeply disturbed him. Returning home quickly, Emil removed his clothes and became very anxious when he noticed his real bones were strangely visible beneath his skin, a clear sign that he was beginning to succumb to the virus. Meanwhile, at a supermarket, François met Julia. As they were talking, a creature suddenly entered the mall, prompting a police chase. François followed, hoping it might be Lana, but the creature turned out to be an octopus-like hybrid. The police soon captured it. Under a table, François spotted another creature resembling a bird, but chose not to inform the police. Shortly afterward, the authorities caught that creature as well. That night, Emil attended a school party after being invited by friends. A girl at the party talked about the creature seen the previous night. Nina offered Emil some food, which he ate in an unusually strange way, licking it from her hand. Both Nina and Emil found the moment awkward and different. Meanwhile, Emil's friends teased him, so he decided to leave for the nearby woods. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open. He was lying alone in the forest. Emil hurried back home but felt something lodged in his throat. Disturbed, he headed to the bathroom. Emil rushed to the bathroom, reached into his throat, and pulled out a small bird feather. Blood was smeared around his mouth, a clear sign that he was also transforming into one of the creatures. Following François' advice, Emil agreed to accompany him into the forest to search for Lana. They spent the entire day searching, but found no trace of her. Exhausted, they decided to rest inside their car overnight. Late that night, Bert, François' dog, who had accompanied them, wandered deeper into the forest. Emil followed him and soon encountered two strange creatures. One of them was the eagle-winged creature they had seen earlier in the story. The creature immediately attacked Emil, but François arrived just in time. Interestingly, the creature did not harm Emil, perhaps realizing that Emil was slowly transforming into a similar being. François took Emil back to the hospital, though Emil was reluctant to go. On the way, they met Julia, who insisted that Emil be admitted. At the hospital, it was revealed that the army had been called in to capture the escaped creatures and contain the virus. As time passed, Emil's body continued to change, affecting his daily life. He struggled with balance and could no longer walk or ride a bicycle properly. One day, while Emil was unsteady on his bike, Nina noticed and invited him to her home. There, Emil spotted a dead bird in the refrigerator, its feathers identical to the one he had found on his neck. Nina explained that she had found the bird dead outside and had brought it inside. Emil found this unsettling, but Nina said she intended to give the bird to the army so they could feed it to the creatures. After this brief visit, Emil left and jumped into a nearby pond. He caught some fish and began eating them. Then, carrying some fish, he ventured into the forest, where the winged creature approached him again. Before it could attack, Emil placed the fish in front of it and introduced himself. The creature replied that its name was Fix. Emil asked Fix about his past, but Fix could not remember much. At that moment, a small creature, actually a young girl, appeared. Emil asked if she was Fix's daughter, but Fix explained she wasn't. She just followed him because she had nowhere else to go. Emil learned that Fix couldn't fly like other birds, which was why he had no home. Determined, Emil decided to help Fix build a home. Emil helps Fix clear all the wood debris from the pond, and through this act of kindness, a friendship develops between them. Meanwhile, François notices a creature lurking in the backyard of a restaurant. Mistaking it for Lana, he approaches, but it turns out to be someone else. The creature immediately attacks him. At that moment, the restaurant owner arrives and calms the creature, explaining that she is her sister, who has been kept there to protect her from the police. Hearing this, François is reminded of Lana and rushes into the forest to look for her. Although he spots a creature, it is not Lana. Still, François lies to Julia, telling her he has seen Lana in the woods, so she can assist the police in the search. The next day at school, Emil's friends discuss the creatures, explaining that these beings are now appearing not only on Earth, but in other parts of the world as well, dividing humanity into two distinct groups. Later, Emil visits Fix, who is practicing flying but struggling to succeed. That evening, François finds Emil's bicycle abandoned in the forest, confused by its presence. He takes it home, where a plumber is fixing the bathroom sink. When François opens the sink, he finds Emil's broken fingernails inside and immediately senses something is wrong. That night, Emil arrives home, but upon reaching the door, François demands to see his fingernails. Emil refuses and tries to run, but François catches him and asks what is happening. Tearfully, Emil confesses that he is transforming into a creature. François reassures him that together they will find a way. For now, to avoid drawing police attention, Emil must keep his nails and hair trimmed short. Emil agrees and ties himself up to prevent further changes. Later that night, Emil returns to the forest near the pond. Upon arrival, he calls Nina but suddenly starts howling like a wolf. Nina, on the other end, cannot hear him clearly, but she too is howling from her side. This reveals that Nina is also experiencing strange changes. The next day, Emil visits Fix again, only to find that Fix is no longer able to speak, indicating he has fully transformed into a creature. That same night, François notices Emil's long nails and insists he cut them. Emil resists, and when François tries to force the issue, Emil scratches his hand. Emil scratched François' hand but stopped shortly after, as if feeling remorseful. After this, Emil reached Lana's farmhouse, where she took him in. They talked and grew closer, sharing an intimate moment. Soon after, Emil returned home, only to be visited by his friend Victor. Victor had discovered Emil's transformation into a creature, so he activated a small device emitting a high-frequency sound that caused Emil great pain. In response, Emil attacked Victor. Victor's cries alerted nearby army officers and police, who rushed to the scene. Fix appeared suddenly and killed one of the officers. Emil and Fix fled together, but Victor managed to inform the police that Emil was responsible for his condition. Shots were fired, and Fix was presumed dead. However, Emil successfully escaped into the forest, where he spotted a creature, his mother Lana. Upon seeing Emil, Lana started to retreat deeper into the forest, but Emil followed her into the creature's territory. At that moment, officers arrived and began capturing the creatures one by one. They also apprehended Emil, but only as a normal human, believing he had accidentally wandered into the forest. François arrived at the police station to secure Emil's release. The officers insisted that Emil sign a document claiming he had accidentally entered the forest. Emil attempted to sign but struggled to hold the pen properly due to his transformation. Frustrated, Emil growled loudly, which the officers heard. Determined to save his son, François attacked an officer and escaped the station with Emil. On the way, Emil expressed that he no longer wanted to return home. He wished to live in the forest with Lana because that was where he belonged. Understanding this, François turned the car towards the forest. The story ends with Emil happily running toward the wolves in the wilderness, fully embracing his new identity. That's it for today's recap of the Animal Kingdom 2024. What did you think of this fascinating tale of half-human, half-animal creatures? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more mind-blowing movie breakdowns just like this. Until next time, stay curious and remember, sometimes the end is only the beginning.